Happy Sunday, everyone. I'm 13 News Now meteorologist Rochelle Peart with your afternoon-evening update for September 20th, 2020. Here's a look at your tropical headlines in case you missed it. Canada now being added to the areas keeping an eye on Teddy as it starts to move more northward closer to Canada. And also we're going to be watching it move close to Bermuda. Tropical storm warning in effect there, and treacherous surf caused by Teddy all the way back toward the east coast of the United States. We're already starting to see that in parts of coastal Virginia and coastal North Carolina as well. The surf is absolutely dangerous out there. No one should be getting in the waters as we move through the next couple of days. Beta is threatening the western parts of the Gulf Coast. We're talking about Texas and also Louisiana as well. And the remnants of Paulette could possibly be coming back to life. Yes, that Paulette that we were talking about a week ago could be regaining some tropical characteristics. We'll look at the probabilities of that coming up in just a little bit. Here's a look at the tropics as a whole. We have Hurricane Teddy still swirling. Tropical depression Wilfred. Wilfred did fall below that tropical storm status earlier today. And of course, we have tropical storm Beta in the western parts of the Gulf Coast, or excuse me, the Gulf of Mexico, threatening the Gulf Coast. Here's a look at those Atlantic hurricane names. As we might remember, we have exhausted this list. You do see Wilfred did reach tropical storm status as the highest level, and these were the other storms. We had mostly tropical storms, but we did have a couple of hurricanes, and then so far we've had two major hurricanes, and those were Laura and Teddy, which both at maxed out at a Category 4 hurricane. So here's where we are now. The Greek alphabet. So far we've seen Alpha, that was a subtropical storm, and we've also seen Beta. That's only expected to peak as a tropical storm. We're no longer expecting Beta to max out as a hurricane, but we still do have quite a ways to go, not just with names, but it's only the middle to end of September. Hurricane season technically goes all the way through the end of November, and we've seen storms form outside of that June 1st to November 30th time frame multiple times. So we'll have to see how far into the Greek alphabet we'll get for 2020. Just as a reminder, the only other time that we did get into the Greek alphabet was 2005, and they got 6 storms into the list of the Greek alphabet, which was Zeta. Let's talk about Teddy right now. Now a Category 2 hurricane, winds at 105 miles an hour, continuing to weaken as it moves north-northwest at 9 miles an hour. That pressure now up to 964 millibars. Tropical satellite does show a pretty decent looking storm. When we switch the view, however, you do see those whites indicating those coldest cloud tops, the highest thunderstorms. We're not seeing quite as many of those in the last few frames with Teddy, but you do still see that very distinctive counterclockwise rotation that comes with low pressure systems. And also you're seeing Teddy move northwest and then a little bit farther to the north as we go through this few hours loop there, and of course Bermuda toward the center of the screen. As we switch over to water vapor here, we do see that there's not a lot of dry air in Teddy's way anymore, so it's going to be moving into some decent conditions over the next couple of days. But sea surface temperatures, that's been something we've been talking about this entire hurricane season. Those sea surface temperatures have still been so very warm, so that's going to keep Teddy with some of these tropical characteristics. Look at some of these numbers as it moves closer to Bermuda. However, it is going to be moving into some cooler waters in the lower 80s, maybe some upper 70s. Now, typically when it comes to these tropical systems, they thrive on water temperatures right around 80 degrees, and once it gets warmer than that, that's just adding more fuel to these systems. But we are going to see some slightly cooler waters as Teddy starts to move northward, and then once it moves north of Bermuda, you are seeing some of those lighter red colors, and of course continuing to move northward closer to Canada, we're going to continue to see some weakening with this system. So as mentioned, a Category 2 hurricane with those winds at 105 miles an hour, gusting to 125. It is moving at 9 miles an hour, but you do see it curve around Bermuda, not going to make landfall like Paulette did, but it is going to cause some issues for the people of Bermuda over the next day or so before it looks like it starts to speed up, maybe just a little bit. Heading into Tuesday, 100-mile-an-hour winds, still a Cat 2, eventually losing those tropical characteristics sometime between Tuesday and Wednesday, and you do see becoming post-tropical as it continues to trek northward all the way through Thursday. Still 45-mile-an-hour winds is the forecast for Thursday afternoon. You see just how far north that is continuing to move. Again, here's a look at Teddy as it continues to move closer and closer to Bermuda. They're starting to feel those impacts already. Let's head back over to the Gulf now. Here's a look at Beta. What happened was you do see a little bit of some action happening over here, and then it regenerates a little bit farther back off to the west. We're keeping an eye on Beta, of course, for our neighbors down into the Gulf Coast states, especially Texas, into Louisiana. But those water temperatures continue to be very, very warm, and Beta is going to continue to be a tropical system, not going to lose out on those tropical characteristics over the next couple of days. It has very warm waters, not too much shear out there right now, and the dry air not as much of a concern. So here's the latest on Beta. 60-mile-an-hour winds, gusts to 70, movement west-northwest at about 6 miles an hour, and that pressure at 996 millibars. And maybe you're wondering why I'm mentioning the pressure, because when the pressure goes down, that means that we typically get a stronger storm. So when we were talking about Teddy just a little while ago, I said, oh, the pressure is up, but the storm is weakening. So that's kind of how pressure and strength of these hurricanes is related. Let's take a look at the latest track on Beta here. You do see by Monday afternoon still a tropical storm right around the same amount of strength that it is right now, eventually making landfall sometime between Monday afternoon and Tuesday as a tropical storm, eventually becoming a tropical depression and losing strength over land, as those systems typically do. Also do have a storm surge warning from areas of Texas all the way into western Louisiana, close to the same area that Laura made landfall. They do have storm surge warnings in place there as well. And look at the tropical alerts. We do have tropical storm watches, does include the city of Corpus Christi, and then tropical storm warnings all the way through parts of central Louisiana as well. Keeping an eye on that for strong winds, storm surge, and heavy rain. The storm is going to kind of linger around the Texas coastline when we're talking about Beta, so we're going to have to watch for the potential of some heavy rain, and heavy rain potential also extending into Louisiana as well. So what exactly are we looking at here? You do see a little bit of that counterclockwise flow, as I mentioned, typical of low pressure areas. This is actually the remnants of Paulette that made landfall, only the 10th storm on record to make landfall in Bermuda. Here are the probabilities on this regaining some sort of tropical characteristics. Medium chances, 60% for both the 2 and the 5-day outlook. So just something else that we have to keep an eye on. As mentioned, Paulette made landfall last Monday as a Category 2 hurricane, only the 10th recorded landfall on Bermuda since 1851. Back in 2014, we did have 2 landfalls in Bermuda within one season, Faye and Gonzalo. So again, keeping an eye on multiple things across the tropics. We have until November 30th. That's the official end of hurricane season, but there is still, I think, quite a bit more that we'll have to talk about in the next coming weeks. Here's where you can find me on social media if you are interested, but definitely subscribe to 13 News Now right here on YouTube. We try to update these tropical videos at least once per day, if not more. So make sure you are subscribed and you have those notifications clicked on so you are updated every time we drop a new video. I want to thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a wonderful week.